Back here, first things first. Undisputed comes up right after this show, 9:30 sharp. Jenny Taft, good morning to you. Happy Monday. Tell us what's on the program today.
Good morning, Jenna. Hope you guys had a great weekend. We have a packed show coming up on Undisputed. It's been over a week and the Saints are still complaining about the missed call in the NFC Championship game. We will talk about that. And is Anthony Davis coming to LA? Plus, Matt Barnes, Greg Jennings are in studio with us to help us out. Undisputed coming up next. Jenna, back to you and the guys.
All right, Jenny, thanks. Great show. Look forward to it. Back here, first things first, we're going viral. Check out Rams defensive coordinator Wade Phillips arriving in Atlanta with the cowboy hat and his father bum's coat.
That's good.
Styling and profiling Wade Phillips.
I don't believe that to be like a replica of his dad's coat.
You think it's his
I think that's the actual
coat.
I think that's a 40-year-old coat that was passed down from Bum to Wade. The adoration and respect Wade has for his late father, Bum Phillips, it's the type of father-son relationship I think everyone wishes they could have. Like hearing him talk about him, how much time they spent together, what he learned from him, now he's dressing like him. So
yes, and also, nice hats there. Atlanta weather, lows in the 30s this week, so the coat is appropriate.
I think we donned those pretty well. I thought you guys were holding hands. I was like, why are you guys holding hands?
Nah, got my hand on Chris's back.
Yep, that's more appropriate.
The small of his back, make sure.
Attaboy? Did you give me a little attaboy?
Jenna, you can kind of pull that look off.
Come on, that's a little sexy. It's something.
That's her #1 pose right there.
That's the one.
That's the Jenna Wolf.
Right hand, right hip.
And then
bam, bam.
and then she throws her legs out like she did that in the promo. They were like, give me another pose. It was like, that was the same one. Give me another pose.
Same one. Back to the breaking news in the NBA. According to reports, Anthony Davis's agent has informed the Pelicans that he will not be signing a contract extension in New Orleans and has requested a trade. Davis says he wants to play for a championship competitor. Nick, what was your reaction to this?
All right, the timing is really interesting now. We thought this day was coming. We thought that what would happen, though, was that this summer, the Pelicans would say to Anthony Davis, 5 years, $240 million. I'm going to slide that over to you. And when Anthony Davis, in response, slid it right back, then Anthony Davis on the market. But Anthony Davis and Rich Paul at Clutch Sports, they're telling the Pelicans this now. Now, Rich Paul said this morning, we felt it was the right thing to do so they could have the information before the trade deadline. Okay, I buy that, Rich Paul. But here's the other thing they know. They are telling the Pelicans he wants to be traded in a time where he cannot be traded to Boston. So if Anthony Davis is
unlikely. It wouldn't be the best deal for Boston.
They could only trade him if they included Kyrie Irving.
Yes.
That's the way to put this. And at no point have I heard Boston even considering trading Kyrie Irving. So the only way, because they're both on Rose Rule contracts, designated player extensions, they can't both be on Boston this season. Now, next season, when Kyrie gets a new contract, they could be. But I'm just following the logic path. If Anthony Davis wants to be in Boston, as our friend Chris Mannix been talking about for years, as everyone in Boston is hoping to be the case, would he demand a trade where it's available to be traded in these next 10 days when 28 teams in the league, or there's a couple other teams that couldn't, but all the contenders could trade for him except for
Boston.
the Celtics? So to me, this is not only am I going to turn down your deal, not only do I want to be traded to a contender, but it is him signaling my preference in Boston. And you might say, well, what does it matter what your preference is? Wait till the summer. Boston can offer you a better offer than the Lakers can. Well, they can if they're willing to get rid of a guy like Jason Tatum without an assurance from Anthony Davis he's going to sign an extension. So this is great news for the Lakers, awful news for the Pelicans, and really bad timing for the Boston Celtics.
And you also have to realize which star we're dealing with. In the last several years, this is what we've seen. Stars before free agency. Nick, I think you've come up with the phrase.
It's not my own phrase, but pre-agency is what it's being called now in the
right,
NBA.
and that's
which is exactly what it is.
And that's what we saw with Paul George, deciding I don't want to be with the Pacers. That's what we saw with Kawhi Leonard. I'm not going to sign. I don't want to be in San Antonio. Now we're seeing with Anthony Davis. Now, Anthony Davis, we have to give him credit, too. He just recently signed with Clutch Sports. What he's been doing, though, is saying all the right things. Even when DeMarcus Cousins decides to leave and go to Golden State, he said all the right things. There was opening there where he could have said some other things. He said, man, we're going to try to win here. I'm interested in next year's team, getting back out there when we had a good playoff run. So him changing and saying, I want out, and doing it right now, I believe, like Rich Paul and them said, it's critical to let the Pelicans know what you want and when you want it, and them doing it 10 days before the trading deadline, it puts a lot of pressure on the Pelicans.
It's not that he's doing anything wrong. He's exercising his right to not want to be there anymore, to demand a trade, and if it happens to be now and it happens to coincide in the time frame where really just the Lakers are available to make that trade, then so be it.
Well, and I think I wouldn't phrase it quite as demanding a trade, because that's not the way Rich Paul phrased it.
He won't sign an extension.
He informed him, I'm not signing the extension, and has requested a trade. This is, to me, not a situation where he's saying, if you guys don't trade me within 10 days, shut me down for the year. Like, he doesn't seem to be. He will play out this year with the Pelicans if he needs to. To me,
this is very similar to Shaq being in Orlando. Even though Shaq did have success in Orlando, and they decided to go ahead and move off of Shaq because Shaq was leaving. He didn't want to be there for the future. So New Orleans, they don't have much of a choice, but they don't have that early success that we saw Shaq have there early with the Magic. No.
And this is where the Pelicans, I know this stinks, but Dell Demps, who I like as a guy, they got to own the fact they failed Anthony Davis. When Anthony Davis was coming into the league, the Charlotte Bobcats at the time had the worst record. They had won 9 games that year. They thought they were going to win the lottery, get Anthony Davis. They didn't get him. I think it was Michael Kidd-Gilchrist they got instead, but regardless, they didn't get the #1 pick. Since that moment forward, Charlotte has won more games than New Orleans. New Orleans got the player, got the generational talent, and has never been able to figure it out. They tried to do a microwave build right when they got him, and they signed a bunch of veterans, traded away future picks for guys, got rid of Nerlens Noel, brought in Drew Holiday. We can do it right now. That didn't work out. The Boogie thing didn't work out.
If Boogie's there, Nick, if Boogie is there, if they would have signed Boogie to a 1, if they would have made Boogie an offer. If Boogie's there right now, do we get this announcement today?
I don't think so. I think maybe the same thing happens this summer. But I think if Boogie's there right now and they're in playoff contention, and they're like, man, last year we swept a playoff series as an underdog with Boogie out. What could we do with Boogie? And by the way, with Boogie there, the Warriors, while they don't look vulnerable, they don't look as unbeatable because they obviously don't have him. They made the decision that we're not going to bring Boogie back at whatever the price point would have been. Anthony Davis looks around and says, man, once again we stink. Once again, we're not even going to sniff the playoffs, and it can't be blamed on his level of play.
All right, assuming he does go to L.A., what does that look like with Anthony Davis and LeBron James? And who would be left on that team after what they would probably have to trade for?
Well, given the Lakers probably have to give up more now than they would this summer. Even though Boston would be involved in it this summer, they still have to give up more. And you can't be able to fill your roster in this short period of time, because this offseason, there would be guys that would turn down bigger contracts if they were shooters, if they were situational players, to come play with the Lakers. I love the fact that the Lakers are not saying we're just going to waste another year with LeBron, like as if he's not aging. I like the fact that because of this announcement, they'll be able to get into it this year. They need a couple shooters. I saw LeBron last year, though, and I think that in those games with the Cavs and the Warriors will let you know what kind of help he needs. He just needs a little bit, and AD is a lot.
Listen, I think the Lakers' offer is going to be the same right now or in the summer. What do you want? Everyone but LeBron's available, and by the way, as many future first-round picks as we can give you, bless you, is available. So we're talking about all the kids. Kuz, Ingram, Ball, gone. Zubats might have to be gone as well because all of a sudden he's a bit of an asset, and some draft picks. Yeah. But you do it. You would be giving LeBron the best teammate he's had since D-Wade in year 1, and maybe even better than that. Like D-Wade in year 1, I think was still a fringe top 5 guy, but it's arguable. And we've never seen LeBron with this high level of a big man. We've never seen it. And see, last point on this, we've never seen Anthony Davis in his life play on a basketball team where he's not the best guy, where other teams' entire game plan isn't about stopping him.
Right. We saw him thrive last year just with Boogie.
Just with another guy they had to account for. What does Anthony Davis's game turn into when he can't be the focal point of the defensive game plan from the other team? When he's got a guy like LeBron that can find him in a shooting pocket. Now, every single time. I don't know that this trade's going to happen the next 10 days, but if Anthony Davis is traded the next 10 days, the only team I could see it happening to is the Lakers.
Good.